Today in the crypto space, we see the market getting a fat bounce to the upside. Bitcoin back to $102,000, up approximately 3.5%. Ethereum is still lagging behind, still down approximately 8%, while the altcoins are also struggling. However, there are some that are gaining some strength and looking for reversals. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but of course, I want to focus on Bitcoin, guys. What is Bitcoin up to? Are we beginning another rally, or is this just a quick profit-taking opportunity? So you know what? Let's talk about the news. Let's analyze the charts and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunity. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here, because the market right now is looking quite interesting. And the reason being is that we got a quick reaction to the upside. Currently, Bitcoin, is running up. We'll talk about the Bitcoin price in a second. Obviously, it's hitting about $102,000, but the market cap did get a bit of a spike. Okay, I'll be real. It's not a higher high or anything, right? It's just a nice recovery. It is a nice V type of recovery at the current moment. What I like even more about this recovery, as per usual, it's the volume. Market participation is here. They are interested in this pump. They bought the dip. Now, the thing is that Bitcoin is holding its horizontal structure very, very nicely still, fully intact, and in fact closing a daily candle about above $102,000 for me is still very and extremely bullish, to the point that it might be likely that we see Bitcoin look for all-time highs. And this is a very important moment, because the question is, was this the last final shakeout? I know a lot of the times we say this is the last shakeout, this is the last shakeout, but the reality is there's going to be a last shakeout. And again, the question is this the last one? We've seen so many liquidations in the last little while, especially in the altcoin market, that it does suggest that it is a valid shakeout. Right? The reality is the previous ones don't even compare to the shakeout of this one that we just experienced and what we just endured. And of course, it's part of the politics. Right now, there's a bit of political unrest, and as far as uncertainty and tariffs and this and that. And of course, it could be that was the driver. And we'll talk about this tonight, of course, at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. So feel free to join tonight. We'll do the live streams. We'll be taking requests. We'll be looking at markets and so on. But ultimately, the real question is, was this the last shakeout? And usually, historically speaking, the last shakeout is when we get the continuation. We start really going parabolic here. Now, I'm not going to get overly, bullish here. I'm not going to be overly emotional about what I see right now, but it would be absolutely epic to finally see the bull market start in the altcoin season, and the altcoin market wake up and show us a bit of strength. Unfortunately, we are not seeing that right now in the Ethereum price. The Ethereum price is not giving us a clear indicator of that. What we do see is Tether getting a bounce to the upside, suggesting that the Tether price is showing a bit of strength right now when it should be going stable. Okay, so this is something that needs to be analyzed. It needs to be kind of figured out. It needs to be considered. But ultimately, what I am looking at is the altcoin market in general. As you can see, we're getting little V recoveries everywhere. There is no indication to me that the altcoins are going to be showing strength at any moment now. We have to be very, very patient. Right now, what we're still hoping on is that Bitcoin starts to show strength. And at minimum, we start to see Ethereum show dominance, right, over Bitcoin. That is usually the recipe that we need to wait for. Until then, guys, we have to be very careful about altcoins. And it doesn't mean that you have to shy away from them. It doesn't mean that you're not going to continue accumulating. It just understand that you're still going to be in a phase of the market where you may still have to endure volatile price action. Until Ethereum gets into price discovery and people start to realize that they need to start rotating into other opportunities, we have to be afraid of the fact that we can still be in a very defined accumulation range in the altcoin market that could still be very volatile, bouncing from the top to the bottom of the range, right? So as you can see, nice recoveries we get on a few across the market, some more than others. Hyperliquid is doing great, still has been doing great. It's up 16% for the day. And as we scroll down, we see a couple others. Mantra, Ohm still showing a lot of strength here. Good stuff. Ondo getting a fat bounce. We're talking about the major ones. A Mantle doing great, but the rest of them, not doing the greatest. We're getting a nice V recovery, guys. I like to celebrate every single pump, but we got to be real. Is this the time to get absolutely bullish? No. I wouldn't say that, especially on the altcoins. Large caps, maybe you might want to get into a bit more exposure there. Bitcoin, maybe you might want to get into a bit of exposure there. Ethereum being part of that large cap, if you're bullish on ETH, maybe you might want to get that, because of course, if we're going to get a solid altcoin season, traditionally it's led by Ethereum, and this is why we're trying to stay one step ahead, right? So get into all the proxies, Ethereum proxies, Ethereum projects that could run up alongside Ethereum, all right, and all those other projects, all the tokens that exist could run up, and DeFi and all of that. So you got to look into which projects you're going to allocate capital. But again, Solana and Sui and many other might be getting great recoveries despite the unlocks, guys. I know there's unlocks around the corner on a lot of projects. Be careful with being overly, let's say, bearish or conservative. I would stay neutral with unlocks nowadays, right? And be prepared to buy dips. I wouldn't be going crazy as far as selling off or shorting based on unlocks, because we saw what Ondo did, and we see what happens in a bull run. They get absorbed real quick. They get eaten up. Tokens enter the market, they get eaten up, they get basically taken up, and obviously the price continues running eventually. And that's what we saw with Ondo, and we see that even in bull runs, previous cycles where unlocks happen, and really the price kept on running. So we definitely have to keep this in mind. Now, as you see, and as I was scrolling through the market, we're getting a few recoveries. But if you start zooming out and you're really looking at what this V recovery really represents, it represents nothing. A lot of these altcoins have retraced a lot. So don't get trapped up with one little pump. I know you might be seeing a 20% pump on an altcoin, on a micro cap right now, but the reality is zoom out and look at where it came from. And there's a lot of proof that it needs to offer to the market before a reversal. Okay, so obviously recoveries are great, guys. It's just that if you're a trader, you don't want to be taking too much risk on the first little pump. It usually leads to a trap. Okay, so be careful out there. All right, guys, let's talk about charts. Let's begin. Obviously, I know you guys want to talk about charts, so let's take a look at Bitcoin, and we're going to focus on Bitcoin today. Bitcoin is at a very interesting spot. Why? Because it's super emotional, guys. We're back to about $102,000, give or take, at the current moment. We're bouncing around that level. And as you know, my previous TA made it very clear that the 102,000, right around here, is a level that I expect to be reclaimed, bounced off of, and continue to the upside. If not, we're still bearish. Let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. The reality is, as you see Bitcoin right now still showing strength, Bitcoin is still within a major structure. It hasn't broken down. So this is why we have to remain bullish until otherwise, right? There's no reason to get bearish, even on this dip. It was horrible. I get it. The emotions were there. It was horrid, guys. What a recovery today. Crazy volatility. I understand that. However, the convictions and understanding of horizontal supports and having your TA play out as a level of confidence or a support is so important, guys. We were tracking this level for so long, and we've finally seen it, how important it is to hold and to keep an eye on important levels. As you can see, bounce right off of 92 perfectly, pretty much on the dollar, and all of a sudden a quick buy up. Now this quick buy up is more important. Okay, fine, we bounced, great, hurrah. But what's more important is look at this buy up, guys. Now the daily candle is looking crazy right now, because not only did it buy up real quick, and it's right now testing again 102 point of control, a lot of good levels, a lot of good interesting levels right here, previous highs, all of this. What we have to understand is that it's an engulfing candle as well, and engulfing candles and candlestick patterns is a very strong sign of reversal. And if this continues this way, and especially if we break above and we close a daily candle above 102, guys, and you can see that this is the resistance. This is why it's so important, because it's really going to convince people that the bulls are here to stay. Ultimately, this is going to be a crazy thing. We break above, we close the daily candle, and we start running, and then we start getting into price discovery that quickly. It happens, guys. This is crazy. This happens, and in fact, it happened before. Look at this quick recovery right here in a day. Quick recovery, up and down, whipsaw price actions, longs and shorts got wrecked, and we continue to the upside. Now, could this be another event? Up and down real quick, whipsaw price action, and we continue to the upside, and going for another higher high would be absolutely epic. Now, this is the thing. What do we do about the altcoins? I know a lot of us are degens, including myself. I got into so many altcoin projects that right now are hurting, and they're still hurting despite Bitcoin bouncing. There's a few that are doing good, but despite this Bitcoin bounce, altcoins are still very hesitant. I don't think the market has shown any confidence that the altcoins are going to recover, which means that altcoins at the current moment are undervalued. They're not being looked at as a viable option for a recovery, for a bounce, for anything, while the whales are still accumulating. Even, Liberty Finance accumulating Ethereum like it's going out of style. And the reality is this could be the opportunity where eventually we see the suppression of the Ethereum price and the suppression of the altcoin market, flourish. Because why are they being suppressed? Accumulation, guys. Accumulation. Now, I don't want to be overly bullish. I'd rather be neutral in these events, especially on the altcoin market, because we haven't gotten anything really to give us a signal that we're ready to run. However, Bitcoin staying above 102, and especially even 92, guys, this structure is a bull structure. It's a bull flag. It's a sideways channel. We cannot be bearish as long as it holds above 92, right? And above 102, we actually start to become bullish because we have a clear range. Even the range right here at 106 is still very valid. We got to keep an eye on it. But since then, this is a very emotional level, right? The order block gets really thick right into this zone. So we can plan out a structure. A structure could definitely be planned out and used for a setup. Okay, so that's that. We understand very clearly that currently Bitcoin is showing strength within the structure, right? And this wick is crazy buy up. Usually wicks get filled again. And the reason being is that usually these represent algorithmic buy orders, orders that were basically triggered by algorithms and people's buy orders on exchanges. People look at these horizontal levels and they put the buy orders in. They get triggered real quick all at once. And this is what happens. However, sometimes these buy-ups that are so strong like this, similar to blow-off tops, we get scenarios where it induces a lot of FOMO because people see these recoveries to be so crazy strong that they're afraid that we're going to start breaking and continue to the upside, and then all of a sudden they're going to miss out, and the retail market is infamous for these types of emotions. So what we have to do is understand this. Bitcoin is showing a ton of strength with this recovery. It is. Let's take a look at momentum. Momentum on the daily, at least volatility is completely oversold. There's no indication of it pumping right now. The daily momentum is still in the chop zone. No indication of bullishness right now at all on the daily. Volume is epic. I appreciate this volume. I do, because it's market participation. It is telling you that the market is interested in this pump, and we're green with volume. It's almost like a voting system. People are voting to putting their opinion in action by buying, and the buying is almost like them voting for Bitcoin goes up, right? I don't like the way this looks still. EMAs are still facing down. Red histogram bars, blue expansion in the background. I gotta admit, the daily still looking a little bit confused. The only thing that's keeping me a bit bullish here is the chop zone. But we can see that the chop zone can act as support. And if Bitcoin has already reset itself on lower time frames, it could be that the chop zone is going to be that support zone where we bounce and we eventually start moving to the upside. Volatility is what's interesting to me right now. The orange line, we're way all the way down here. We get some more volatility to the upside. Okay, so let's take a look at what the 4-hour looks like, because the 4-hour might be a little bit more interesting. Now, the 4-hour, to be honest, in the immediate short term is looking to get rejected. I can sense a little bit of a rejection happening very soon unless we get short squeezes. Short squeezes is what we need. And what that really represents is a lot of shorts being placed at this level. Again, 102, you can see the reaction right around 102. If we get a lot of shorts being placed at that level and the market makers really want the price to go up and hunt that liquidity, we can eventually squeeze right above that and start pumping. Okay, and that sometimes happens. Now, my concern right now is that we're still making a lower high, even looking at this structure right here, lower highs. Volatility is already overbought. The momentum is already extended, a bit overextended. According to what I see here, we can actually make it a correlation to this right here, in the opposite direction, right? The purple line is way overextended the yellow, which is the average. When the purple is extended away from the yellow, they tend to want to get back together. So what that means that we are going to get back together eventually, and when it does, usually they want to meet in the middle somehow. So the purple comes down and the average moves up. But the purple coming down means that we're going to get a dip. That's the thing. And it could be on the 1 hour, right? It could be that the 1 hour is really topish right now, maybe overbought, and we start to roll over. But the short squeezes can play games. This is the problem. And it could be that we continue momentum to the upside after a dip. So to be safe, what I see here on the 4 hour is I see a bit of mean reversion coming down to the mean and basically getting a bounce, maybe fall below, and then continue to the upside. As the mean continues moving up, we see the momentum continue going to the upside, and then we get overbought again. In the meantime, if this were to happen, where we come down for the dip, it is probably because volatility is going to get down here and get oversold again. And then what we want to do is trade the volatility and the momentum to the upside in the same direction. And that is when you make the best moves. The best gains are when the recipe is momentum, volatility in the same direction. We also see the expansion, the red expansion tapering in, which is good. And I would love to see, I know we got a little one, but I would love to see a green expansion right here, guys, a big one. I want to see a massive green expansion in the background where we start looking like this. That's where we're going to see massive pumps, and it can happen out of nowhere, guys. So we're going to keep an eye on this on the 4 hour. Bitcoin is looking okay. Bitcoin is looking good. And just keep in mind, like I said, shakeouts and fakeouts don't really register well on oscillators. I'm going to tell you why. It's because oscillators are all lagging indicators. They're slightly behind the price action, which means that ultimately, by the time you see it register on the oscillator, it's already too late. So right now, everything kind of looks bullish. I get it, but it could already be a little bit bearish here on the 4 hour. As you can see, we're getting a bit of a rejection. Now, I don't want to be bearish here, but getting rejected right here is not a good look, because then we're using this small order block right here as resistance, and we come down for a lower, basically we made a lower high and we come down for a lower low, and then we start retesting again the 92, which if you go back on the daily, the 92 would be filling up that wick again, which I'm hoping it's not the case. I'm hoping the bulls can still continue showing strength on the 4 hour. Continue showing enough strength on the 4 hour, again, so that we can see that the daily changes direction, momentum direction. The trend direction, everything needs to basically change direction. And you can see the EMAs right now are facing up with green histogram bars here on the trend oscillator, which is great for Bitcoin. But in the meantime, we want momentum to continue going up after a little bit of a pullback. I expect a pullback, guys, so prepare. And then obviously on the pullback, let's get a rounded bottom. Let's get a rounded bottom, guys. Why? A V recovery with a rounded bottom is a perfect recipe, and I'll explain why, what the psychology is. And it has to stem with the fact that this is an algorithmic buy order experience, where lots of algos, a lot of buy orders on exchanges that were placed, got filled, great, congrats, and moves up real quick. People take profit at resistance, fine, but still there's a lot of people that are still bullish on this move. And then on the way down, people say, okay, I'm going to buy the golden pocket, I'm going to buy the 786, and I'm going to buy the 886. That's typical. Okay, very typical. And if you start looking at that strategy, because it's a very typical, even algo strategy for that matter, you start buying a bit here, you start buying a bit here, and you start buying a bit here. If we are lucky, we hold a golden pocket, we retrace, we start accumulating into the golden pocket, natural signs of accumulation, where people physically go and DCA little by little, and it gets dragged out because of that. And that's how we create the roundedness of the accumulation. And then all of a sudden we start running and get back to the previous high, where we actually picked enough bullish bids at this level to actually break out from a longer term perspective, expecting a bigger breakout, expecting to get into all-time highs in price discovery. These are the people that are going to be buying at about 96,000. So this is why I want to see a rounded bottom eventually. A V recovery, rounded bottom, I'm in. I'm going to be getting in back into the altcoin market, looking at large caps. I'll be DCing into this level. I won't be buying any Bitcoin. If I do anything with Bitcoin, I will be getting into a bit of leverage, maybe a couple, 10x long on Bitcoin, doing a few trades, and that's about it. But the altcoin market might be preparing for a recovery, starting with the large caps, given the fact that Bitcoin getting into price discovery starts to create a scenario where people will rotate from Bitcoin to Ethereum, and then once Ethereum starts to catch bids, altcoins will be front run. People will start front running altcoins once again because people know where the gains are at. The gains are at the altcoin market. Okay, guys, so try to stay one step ahead. Think of the psychology. Think about what's happening right now. Bitcoin showing strength. Tonight, we'll take a look at where it closes this daily candle. I'll be live again at 8 p.m. If you have any requests, that's a great time in place to make those requests. I'll definitely put them in top priority. Guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.